what's going on between my ears. Everyone seems to be so clear, but I'm feeling foggy. This life I'm a part of. Let's talk about it with Ronnie and Carla. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. It's Mental Health
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Judgment Seesaw. Again, this is a show about mental health and, in some ways, relation to the fantasy football and fantasy sports industry. I am your host, Ronnie Evans, and I am joined today by a very special guest, my friend Carla from the Sports Affiliate, and lots of other cool stories in life. And I can't wait to dive into all of that with you. But before we get started, for anyone that's just tuning in and hasn't seen one of these before, the name of the show is the Judgment Seesaw. And the idea of the Judgment Seesaw comes from economics. It's a way to gauge people's interest, buying decisions, so on and so forth. But it's been parlayed by highlight something that we all do a lot of and help train us to do it less, which is judge. And if you are judging someone, the Judgment Seesaw shows that you cannot understand simultaneously. So you have to pick what side of that seesaw you want to be on. It helps with active listening. It helps with understanding. It helps in career, friendships, everything. So welcome to the show, Carla. Thanks for hopping on. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, Ronnie. Thank you for, bringing me on.
Sure, absolutely. You have such a unique story, and in general, a different type of relationship to like the fantasy industry. You're a newer face as well, and you have your own lane that you're staying in. And I want to dive into all of that. Before we go into it all, though, can you give us just a little 1-minute rundown on who Carla is and what you're doing right now in the fantasy space, but also outside of it?
So my name is Carla. I am a word language teacher. I come originally from Lebanon. I speak 3 different languages, and I'm a high school teacher at Wilbur Cross in New Haven. I have 3 kids, a boy 21, a girl 19, and a boy with ASD who's 15 years old. He's still in high school. I have my boyfriend who's Doug Orth. And
shout out to Doug. He's a good guy.
Well, sometimes. No, he is. Don't tell him that. I'm a Zumba instructor as well. And I used to be a swimming official because of my kids. And that's pretty much everything.
Well, and the one thing you left out is that you do a show with Wendy Early called The Game Changers.
Oh my God, yes.
It's been a bit of a sensation the last year in the fantasy industry.
I do co-host a great show with the Sports Affiliation with Wendy Early. And we're going to talk a lot of it, through the show with you, Ronnie, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, and I well, just a note on this, the Game Changers, you guys bring on people that have been around in the industry, changing the industry and impacting it, and you kind of explore their story and a few other things. In some ways, somewhat similar to this show, the Judgment Seesaw, but my angle is, of course, learning people's stories in relation to mental health. And if you're ready, why don't we go ahead and dive into a little bit of that, and we'll circle back to the Game Changers as well. But for you just mentioned like traveling from Lebanon. You speak multiple languages. You're trilingual. You're a Hall of Fame teacher. Let's not leave that out. You've received the award from your district. And so can you share a little bit about like what inspired you to go from this long career in teaching and all this traveling you've done to joining the fantasy sports industry and starting up the Game Changers podcast?
Well, it was never in my mind to start anything in fantasy football. But one year I was in Lebanon, and I knew Doug from, the YMCA, and we were talking. I just went to Lebanon to see my family, and we were talking online. He called me from the expo, And he was sharing how much fun he was having at the expo. He was taking pictures at the expo with his big belt, the King Classic.
Yeah.
And and I was like, I was so jealous. Like, here I am sitting at the beach and relaxing and not doing anything. And he is, doing shots with the boys and enjoying the party and everything. And going from a place to another and showing me this like big belt. And I'm just like, no, I have to go with you next year. And he's like, I don't think you're gonna enjoy it. I'm like, I don't think you know me. You don't know anything about me. You don't know how much I love sports. You don't know how much crazy we are at our home with my family. Like, we practically scream at the TV.
Yeah.
So we went next year. We went the first year I went, it was I do believe 2021. I went with him, or 2022, I don't remember. 2022, I think we managed to go. And not many women were there, to be honest, Ronnie. So in 2022, we went there, and it was the life draft. It was still, like with the colors, and you put them on the board.
Right.
So I was watching that, and I was lucky because I never saw that before. So I was watching it. I was having so much fun, and I really was there, like seeing both of the teams, like sitting and having fun. And I do believe only one woman was sitting at the other table and doing the live draft. And it was really like surprising to me that not many women were there. And Doug was saying that not many women are there. Like, you're not gonna have fun. But year 2023, I went there, and I had, I met Gemma, I met Renee, I met Rachel, and I was like, and I met Kelly as well. I was so happy to see that many women were there, having the stuff. And then I, the first year, I met Jem, Drew, I met Bob, JJ. Like, these were Doug friends, and I love them so much, and I respect them so much because of how Doug speaks so highly. Like, you guys, you speak highly about the community and about these people. And I couldn't wait for 2023 to go and see them again. And it's something. And Gary Davenport, I don't wanna forget him, because he have such a stylish clothing line. I love that in him. So every single one, you celebrate them in a different way. 2023, I met Ryan. I met Jameson. I met Scott Fish. I sat with Bob Long, and we spoke about a lot of stuff, and we spoke about the Zumba that we're gonna have, the Zumba event we're gonna have this year. We can talk about it later. So it's amazing how much from year to another you form a community. And it's like, with me, I can't go to the expo without hugging Bob Harris. He knows that I love that hug. I can't, go there without seeing, without seeing Drew or JJ, without celebrating Ryan's birthday party. Like, he have a birthday every single time at the expo, without, seeing Scott Fish, or I don't know, like, every single one have a different story. Every single one have a different different stuff that brings to the expo.
Right.
So
yeah.
This year, I'm so excited to go because I never met Wendy. I never met her. Like, we do the show together, and we've never met.
That's
so
wild.
I can't wait. I'm gonna meet her first at Chicago because I'm going for the wedding. So I'm excited for that. I never met JC. I
Hmm.
saw Iggy in 2023, but it was like, hi, I'll take your picture because I'm Drew's photographer, by the way. So
Hmm.
every single time at the expo, I take his pictures. So it's really amazing how this community, did make an influence on me, and this is how it started. And then how did I go from there to the show? I was standing and waiting with Matt Donnelly. We were waiting for Doug. He left something at the room at the DoubleTree, and here we go. Greg was like, "Can I take a picture of you?" And I'm like, "I don't know who that person is, but I'm gonna smile and say, maybe when
Greg
my
Kellogg.
yes, Greg Collard.
I
Maybe
love
when
Greg to
my
death.
boyfriend comes in and he started talking and he was like, "Do you know that I'm a Hall of Famer and stuff like that?" I'm like, "No." So I don't know who these people are. If you're not telling me, I'm not sure who they are. I'm sure that Doug knows, Matt knows, and maybe you know, but I never knew about Greg Kellogg before. But
Hmm.
he came, he took a picture, and he was that day with Maze. So I met Maze as well with him.
Love
And
Mace Riney. Yeah.
oh my God, he is amazing as well. So I can't wait to meet him too at the expo. So he came, he took that picture, and we spoke about a lot of stuff that day. I took his phone number because I wanted him in the picture with us. I'm like, "You're taking our picture. You need to be with me in the picture too. You're a Hall
Yeah.
of Famer." So he's like, "Yeah, you have to send me this picture though." And I'm like, "I'll send it to you, definitely." After a month we came from the expo, I tweeted the picture of Greg and I, and the gang with me, and I tagged him, and I'm like, I remember that day, and I can't wait for next year to see you. So he called me, and he's like, "Do you want to do a show?"
Hmm.
And I'm like, "What do you mean? Do you want to do a show?" He's like, "It's just one, episode. I want you to come over and talk with, a lady that she's been in the industry for a long time. I want you to meet up with Wendy and JC, and, like, let's do that show." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm fine with that." I don't
Okay.
have a background in podcasting. I don't have a background in fantasy football, Greg. Like, do you really want me to be there? He's like, "I love your accent, so you're fine." I kid you not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've met with JC and Wendy, and they were really like amazing. So we clicked at, the first high, and we became a family. And that's how it started from the first show with like almost 34 episodes right now. It's just amazing. So that's how everything started with the podcast. So
I love it. Well, and so it sounds like you kind of just got sucked into the fantasy industry, if you will.
I did.
And you still, and we talked a little bit offline. We don't have to dive into all of this, but I've talked about it with other people leading up to your interview. There is, it's in a beautiful community. It really is a very supportive community, but it doesn't mean it's perfect. There is like behind the scenes drama that happens, and
Was
there are
perfect.
some bad things that can go on, and some people are not as kind as the community at large, and so on and so forth. But as a whole, I've worked in a lot of different industries and witnessed firsthand how a lot of different like industrial communities operate, and the fantasy community is really, really unique. It is a very, very special group of people, and it grows every year. And despite that, the people at the top still kind of just are there to engage and be there for people. And some people are too busy to be there for everyone all the time. But you mentioned Bob Harris, just as a great example. Bob Harris is like one of the longest tenured people in
Right?
sports media, not just fantasy football. He is also one of the most popular people in sports, not just fantasy football. And he will, like, he's a superhuman. I've been DMing and talking to him for about a year or so. He always responds. I hit him up a couple weeks ago to ask him if he wanted to come on the show, and he responded within 15 minutes to say, "Hey, I have COVID and I am way behind on work. I'm sorry I can't get on right now."
See,
And
that's
that's just
honesty.
not normal. Like usually people that are that busy, that are that famous, do not take the time to
No,
reciprocate or engage in communication. And so it's a unique spot. And I really appreciate the industry for that. I appreciate people like you. And it sounds like you've had a bit of a taste of like the goodness that fantasy football can bring. I know you're also aware of some of the downsides as as well. But moving away from fantasy football for a second,
yeah.
for you, like going into mental health and like the challenges that can arise, you've moved around the world, you've been through a lot, you went through a lot growing up that's very different to things that I and many other people that live in America hopefully ever have to deal with. And I don't want you to go into too much detail on anything that you want to keep private, but can you share a little bit about like what it was like for you to go through some of the things? And the first I wanted to bring up was surviving lupus and coping with like the aftermath also of a car accident that you were in recently, and how those health challenges have affected you in your career and your approach to life and how you've managed them.
Well, lupus is a long journey. I was diagnosed with lupus. I wasn't happy, and I think I got stressed, like really bad stress, and that's what led to lupus. And when I got the call that I have lupus, it was a wake up call.
Mm,
And it's like, what is God is telling me? It's like, wake up, like, you need to change your life. That's a wake up call. Just you need to do something different. When I knew that I have lupus, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I
mm,
have pain in places that I never knew that I had. And I have a loop recorder in my heart because my heart goes into a complete heart block every 3 seconds. Like it goes for 3 seconds every single day. It goes a complete heart block. So they put a recorder so they can track it.
mm.
So this is lupus. You never know whenever anything can happen. But I am a survivor. I am a warrior, and I refuse to take any medication. And I told them I will not let that, like break me. So
Yeah, good for you.
after after that, I went into a divorce and I left home. Thanks to my kid because they did support that, and they told me it's time to leave, because they saw how sick I was and I wanted to stay because of them. And they said no, because my background from Lebanon, we stay for our kids as women, because this is how the community is. You shut up, you stay, you're a woman, you cannot speak up. But my kids told me, no, you have a voice. So they pushed me into leaving and looking at myself, because at some point I was losing myself. And I looked at them and I'm like, I don't want to lose myself. I have kids. I have them to live for. So I did leave. And after I left, I had the car accident.
Mm,
And it was a really hard situation because I broke my neck, I broke my arm. And so November 6th, it was like, and I couldn't go to work. And it was really bad and it was really hard. And I didn't know what to do because I didn't have a full time job. I had a per diem job. So unemployment wouldn't pay me anything. They wouldn't do anything for me,
mm,
even though I had my master's. But I couldn't find a full time job at this time because we were coming out of COVID and no one would give you a full time job.
mm.
And I was going insane. So I didn't know what to do. It was a hard situation. And like it's like going down that dark tunnel and walking in and there's no way you can get out. You walk in, you walk in, you walk in, and there's no way you can get out. But I was showing up to work every single day with a broken arm. The funny story is when I got into the accident, the next day I called work and I told them I'm coming. And the doctor was looking at me and he's like, "You're going where?" And I'm like, "I'm going to work." He's like, "You're crazy. You have a broken arm. You're gonna have a surgery." And I don't know if you can if you can see it. I have a big mark.
Oh wow, yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the show notes.
I'm a Wolverine, so I have a big metal in my arm.
Yeah.
I'm a half Wolverine. So he's like, you're not going anywhere, Carla. Like, what you're talking about? I'm like, I have work. I have Zumba. I have like I'm a substitute teacher. And he's like, "You're not going anywhere. You have a surgery."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, I'm fine." And he's like, "You are like under like a lot of pills. Not going anywhere." So when the pills went away, I was screaming from the pain. But it's funny when you are like, you have this mentality of, I want to go to work. I want to do this. You don't look at yourself that you need to like stop. And sometimes we have this stuff because our body is telling us, or something is telling us, stop, you're doing too much. This is your call to stop. And it's crazy because whoever is watching is going to tell you how crazy I am. Because after my accident, I did ask everyone to come to Thanksgiving. And I'm the one who cooks. And I couldn't lift anything with my arm because I'm not supposed to have anything heavy with my arm. So I was working with my one hand with the turkey, and I put it in a pan, and I slid it up my foot and put my foot and arm up. Yeah, I was working with my foot. Literally, Ronnie. And I put it in the oven, and then Doug was coming in and like, "What you're doing?" And I'm putting the turkey in the oven. He's like, "You're insane." I'm like, "I need to cook. You're late. You need to start something. Like, put me to work. I'm here to help you. You asked me for help. Like, let me help." I'm like, "No, you sit down."
Have you seen like in American folklore, there's this old legend about the best banjo player is always the guy that can play with his hands but also pull his toes out and play with his toes too. You were like the savant banjo player but in the kitchen cooking with your feet, picking up things.
Ronnie, I watch a movie, My Left Foot.
Yes. All right, there you go.
He used to write with his left foot. It was so like when I used to be in my 14 and 15, I watch it, and I used to cry when I used to watch that movie. And to become that, it's like, oh my God, like these people that they don't have like an arm or a foot or something, the stuff that they do, like I had to use my foot. I had to use, like, now I have my both arms, but the stuff that some people do without other limbs or other stuff, it's like,
it's incredible.
I'm serious. I have someone who doesn't walk. She's on a wheelchair. She comes to my Zumba class. Her name is Chelsea. She wants to become a Zumba instructor, Ronnie.
Oh, that's incredible.
Right?
Yeah.
She comes to my Zumba class and she dances. She shakes her booty on a chair, and she wants to become a Zumba instructor. I have goosebumps.
So cool.
Because these people makes my life better. These people put me there to make my life better. I don't make their life better. They make my life better.
I love that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy.
Let me just give for everyone, going back to lupus. Lupus, correct me if I'm wrong, Carla, but that is essentially, it's a disease where your immune system attacks your own body.
So red and white cells, they attack each other. They don't know what's healthy and what's not. So they start attacking the healthy stuff. So they always fight each other. So that's why some of the organs sometimes are being attacked. You don't know if your liver is gonna be okay today or tomorrow. You don't know if your kidneys, your heart, like per se, for me, it's my heart. You don't know when it's gonna stop. Like something's gonna stop. So it is hard. It is hard for
Yeah,
some
I mean,
people. Some people have it really like high. Um, I'm I'm on the safe side right now.
that's amazing. Well, and I think that shout out to you. You've been through a lot and you've persevered. You found your place in life. You find joy in other people and you find meaning through your work. All of that's incredible. You mentioned too, like people who are amputees. We had one on the second or third episode this month. I had Jeff Sanders on, and we're halfway through. He's talking about his experience in the Middle East in a war, and he like holds up his prosthetic leg in the middle of the interview, and it's like, "This is what I deal with every day. These are my mental health issues. Partly are because of this." And it's just I can't relate to that. I try my best to understand the feelings people get from that, but I have no idea what it's like to live a day-to-day life with that sort of impairment. And so props to the girl in your Zumba class. First of all, next time you see her, tell her that Ronnie, some random person from the internet.
She might be watching you. She might be watching you.
Well, if you
Ronnie.
are, you're a hero, and I love you. I mean, that's incredible.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. We are
Yeah.
all heroes in our own way. Trust me. We are
Trying
all
to.
heroes. Yeah.
Well, and
And we surround ourselves with great people. That's what makes us heroes because we are heroes with them. That's why.
yeah, yeah, I love that. Well, there's an old adage that you are kind of a reflection of the people you spend your time with. And if you can spend your time with people that inspire you, then you will inspire others. I think you're doing that.
Yeah.
Just one other two things real quick, not to like go through and dissect every single thing that you've dealt with, but I heard from a little birdie that you deal with vertigo, and
Yes.
vertigo is like, excuse my language, but that's like a bitch to deal with. Not that lupus isn't or anything else or a car accident or everything else you've been through, but you manage vertigo, and my understanding is that through everything you've been through, you have waves of depression that you deal with. Can we talk just a little bit about like what it's like dealing with those? And then if you were to put yourself on the podium and advocate for the fantasy industry and how they can continue to improve dealing with
Yeah.
people that struggle with that sort of thing, tell me what you'd tell everyone to do.
So when I got into my accident, I broke my neck and they never diagnosed me with, anything else but broken bones. So I don't believe I got the healing that I need. So I went directly to work. When I went to work, it's a stressful environment. My work, especially as a substitute teacher, before becoming a teacher, it's a stressful environment. In February, so November, I was in an accident. In February, I start having vertigo. I wasn't sure. I thought I ate something and I wasn't
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I went to the doctor and they didn't know. And one time I was at the Zumba event and I was up on the stage. And then I told Doug that I really can't move. Like I'm going to fall. So they came and they took me like they hold me to take me to the car. Like two people had to hold me because I couldn't even walk. I was taken to the emergency room that day. And even then, I was not diagnosed with anything and they sent me home. So I went
that's the
to
worst.
different, I'm not even kidding. I went from back and forth a lot before being diagnosed. And then when I was diagnosed with vertigo, I was told because I did not have the time to heal. But I was every single day having that issue. So I would go blind.
Wow.
And excuse me, I was throwing up until everything was out. I would I would lay down and don't wake up before 4 hours. My body will go into a really heat moments, like really, really hot until it gets to really, really cold. When it gets too cold, it means that I'm getting better. So these 4 hours, I go through hell, like literally blind, like I can't see. So whenever I would go to work, if I feel that a little bit dizzy, I would call, I have to go now. I would drive from work
Mm.
to here because I'm a per diem person. I cannot stay home without working. And they couldn't figure out what pills or whatever they can give me.
Hmm.
So I would like drive myself, be on the ground. I couldn't sometimes like get into my bed or anything, be on the ground for that. So
Jeez.
it stayed from February, I think till after August. After we went, no, yeah, till after August, I start taking the pills. They start giving me pills, and I was like between yes and no. So I was at the expo. I would be throwing up before going and seeing people, and I would go and celebrate after. So I wanted to celebrate. So in the car, I was having vertigo, but it was an everyday episode. It was like really bad. And then they asked me after August, they asked me to do endoscopy. So I went and I did endoscopy to see what's going on. And this, when we started the show, when we started our show with JC and Wendy, and it was on Monday. So I had the endoscopy on Monday, and it was a regular procedure, honestly. So I went to do it, and then they took me out, and I went out and I was all bleeding, and I'm like, what's going on? You have to go to the emergency room. Like, what's going on? And you're bleeding internally, you have to go right now to the emergency room. So doc rushed me to the emergency room, and like it was a second until I went, like nothing. I They were talking to me, and I was out. They found a
Wow.
clot. They found a clot, and I was out. So they stitched me 6 stitches internally. So I was bleeding internally because of vertigo every single day. So after that, they had to do something. Like,
Yeah.
this is not okay. So they start giving me like really high medication. I take 5 pills right now, and I take a shot in my ear. So every 3 months.
And
We're
you have
managing.
to. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted
Yeah.
you.
No, it's okay. We're managing it right now, but we will see what's gonna happen.
Golly. Well,
Yeah, it's really
I
bad.
was
Really
on the
bad.
way back. I went and spent time with some relatives this afternoon, and then on the way back home was listening to interview actually with Sam Altman, the
Yeah.
CEO of OpenAI and all that AI stuff. But he talked about how resiliency is the most valuable trait for people right now moving into the future and so on and so forth. And it's also a lost art among like my generation and even like kids that are younger. I see them every day at school. I'm sure you might see it too, but people are very,
Yes.
very quick to back out of things or avoid discomfort. And it is
And
incredible to hear your story and just like the amount of resiliency that you have shown to like be here right now and talk about this with me. But like you glossed over it a little bit, but you've been through some life-threatening stuff and you're still
I
dealing with a
did.
lot of it. And
I did, Tony, but my life story didn't start with a car accident. It
of course.
started from Lebanon at war. So I started there. I lost my uncle when he was 14 at war. So my life story, it's really hard. I
It's a
became
story of
stronger
resilience.
because of my life story. And my parents taught a warrior. They never taught someone to quit on anything. They taught me that every single person is a nice person. Every single person is a beautiful person. Every single person is a different person from you. And they don't need to see this. They need to always see this. because we struggle, yes, but they struggle more. Like, you don't know what that person is struggling with. So whenever you see me, you don't need to see this. You're going to see
Mm,
this. So wherever I go, and I don't see it anymore, I go to my school right now and I say good morning to every single one. And they look at me like, good morning. Like, you are a ray of sunshine.
yeah.
Yes, we're losing that. We're losing that ray of sunshine because people don't want to do it anymore. It's like more me, 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 me. They don't see anymore that no, you need to be me and them as well. Share a little bit of that sunshine because we need it in our time. Because of
Love that.
that, we have the depression. Because of that, depression is still a taboo. Because of that, we cry behind the closed doors and we're not open to talk more about this stuff. So that's why it's a big no-no for me to just, if I am having a depressed, like depression moment or whatever, oh my God, I'm gonna just go. And if I see Ronnie, I'm gonna just like whatever, I'm gonna say, don't talk to me. No, this is not life. Maybe Ronnie is going through hell today. If I say, hi Ronnie, how are you today? Oh my God, you made me feel better.
Yeah.
It's
I
how
I
you
love that.
say it. It's how you say it. If you say something good to people, if how you say it. And I see it a lot behind closed doors, and I see it a lot on Twitter or on social media. I hide behind my computer, I can say bad stuff. I hide behind whatever, I can say bad stuff. No, this is a weakness. This is a
Yeah.
weakness, in my opinion. You are who you are writing. You are who you are. It's not clever to say all of this stuff. It's you revealing your own character when you do this stuff. So I don't get
Y-
it. Like,
You
put it.
you know the phrase, do you know the phrase sharing is caring?
Yeah.
I talked about that a little bit with Dave Kluge when he was on, but I want to just focus in on a little bit of the message you were just giving, and short story from my end with the fantasy industry. I brought it up on a few episodes, but you mentioned like just like little things, like giving, like thinking about the impression that you're giving other people and how that might affect them. It's really, really good. It is it's kind of a lost art in this day and age. Everyone's very self-absorbed. But even for me, like as I've gone through suicidal ideations and like the bottom of the pits level depression over the years, there are a
Yes.
handful of members it's okay, in the industry who like they might not have thought anything of it, but just taking 10 minutes out of their day, like once a month or once a year, even over the years, to allow me to call them on the phone, tell them what I'm working on, get affirmations that I have a good vision or that I do have a place in this industry and make me feel welcome, kept me alive. And like, I think the idea of what you're talking about, like the way people internalize things, and we don't feel like it's okay a lot of the times to talk about what we are personally going through. I have seen a pretty noticeable shift in at least the people that I interact with and the parts of society that I observe over the last decade. America seems to be doing better and better as the years go by and learning to understand, but we are still decades behind a place like Europe, where it's like the law that you have to take me time and you have to take vacations, and sick days are not like taboo, and mental health is important. And the American system really is built to say, no, none of that's true. You have to show up for work, and work is the most important thing in your life. And that's just toxic. It's not true. We have our own lives to live, and we need to be able to take time for ourselves so that when we're around other people, we can be like our whole self and show them something good and positively impact them. I think you've mastered that. You're just a ray of sunshine, and you've been through so much, but you've maintained this outward aura of positivity, and it's really special.
I thank you.
Yeah.
It's just like I said, you never know what that person next to you is going through. That's why. you need to have that smile. You need to have compassion. You need to have a lot of stuff, that positivity, because you don't know what the person, like today, I go to school. You know that I go to school on the side as well. So I I'm a giver. I give a lot of thoughts into how I can make um, my friend's day better. So because it's almost the end of the year, I got them each and every one like a special gift from me. They were like so happy. Like this little thing can make a difference in that person life. Like the smallest thing. So some just hug me with tears, like you don't know how much this little thing changed my day into a better day, because of I was going through this and this and this and that. Again, there's a stigma surrounding, mental health issues. We are not talking about it. We are always behind closed doors. And that's why I don't know, I think you saw my post. I'm here. I exist. I'm here for you. Just knock my door. And when I say I am here, I am here. If you want to talk to me, just knock my door. I am here for you,
Yeah.
because we all go through so much and we need people to be here for us. So
I think so.
that's really
One,
important.
I hope that this series over the course of this month and the Judgment Seesaw and all these discussions can at times serve as like being there for someone who feels alone and can find one of these interviews and find similarities and realize
Yeah.
their place again in life. But let's go back into that though, because I think we can share some pretty interesting stuff from your end to help people. You talked a little bit about Zumba classes. I want to shout this out again. If you're going to the Fantasy Football Expo this year in Canton, Ohio, Carla is holding 2 Zumba classes, and
Yeah.
each of them you got to pay to get into them. 30% of the revenue is going towards a charity for and research for Kawasaki disease, which is a
Yes.
pretty rare disorder that both of our good friend Iggy, who's coming on this show later this month, his daughter
Yeah.
has, and it sounds like she's recovered from or is in recovery from,
Yes.
but it's rare, it's overlooked, it is not a focus of the medical field in a large way. And I think it's incredible that you're taking something like Zumba, which
Yes.
I don't know, getting active makes people happy. Like at the very minimum, that class is good for that. But then you're
And
parlaying it into a greater purpose. And so that's incredible. Real quick question on Zumba. And I think you've got a little bit of a love for more Eastern kind of therapeutic approaches to things than maybe the pharmaceutical Americanized style. But Zumba, meditation, Eastern medicine, all of these things that aren't really like the primary focus of American society. What is it about that sort of thing that you love, and why do you think it's so helpful for you and for other people?
so Zumba is my daily happiness.
Mm,
I go from classroom to rushing to my Zumba class. And when I am in my Zumba class, I just detox. The people are in my classes, the whoop whoop I got, the happiness, the smiles, the everything. I'm not even kidding you, Roni. We put the music and we start whoop whoop, and there's another lady that answers me, woo. So this months in that class, you can't even believe, like, everyone will be smiling, everyone will be like detoxing from their day. um it's not about, like, working out to just work out. It's about having fun, enjoying the time. And you, like, 1 hour will go and you wouldn't even like care. Oh my god, the hour is almost done. Are you kidding me? And it's for everybody, not
yeah.
everybody, like, seriously, everybody. It doesn't matter. And I was telling you, I have someone on a wheelchair that comes and do my
Yeah.
Zumba, and she wants to become a Zumba instructor. This is a huge deal for all of us. And when I see her, she brightens my day. It's just amazing because I do a lot of events in my community to, you know, to support a lot of charities. And when I got into the accident and unemployment didn't like do anything for me, or the government didn't do anything for me, they did, like everyone in my community, Abby, Susan, Christy, and everyone, they did a event to support me. I was always the giver, and I was now the one that they wanted to support. And that day I was laughing because I always gave, and I couldn't even take the money. And they had to put it under my shirt, like literally. Because
like you're a stripper.
like, I'm always that person who gives, and I'm like, no, I don't want to take the money.
Take it.
Like, Carla, you have to take it. Like, you supported all of us at some point. You have to take it. Zumba is really fun. You guys, like, it's really like, I'm talking about it, and I'm like, just like,
Yeah, I can
breathe.
see it in you. Like even if I didn't, let's say that I didn't believe you about
fun.
Zumba,
It's
I
fun,
thought,
and it for your mental health, it's really good. For
yeah.
your
Well, I
mental,
mean, you're
really,
like
really.
the happiness is radiating from you as you talk about
Yes,
it, and so it's
yes.
hard not to buy into that.
And talking about, like, the importance of Eastern medicine, I'm a
Yeah.
huge supporter of vitamins and Eastern medicine.
Mm,
So I'm totally against medication, especially with a child on the spectrum. So my son, Chris, have ASD, and I was told by one of the teachers that if you don't put him on medication, you're gonna ruin his life. So I did put him on medication. And my son came to a point that he was hitting his head through the walls,
mm.
literally, literally, Ronnie. I took him off medication, and I did my research. Guys, do your research, please. I did my research into vitamins and what I can do to help him. Now, a teacher called me 2 days ago, and she told me that she sees the light in his eyes. My son is a very smart boy that I see a different boy every single time he comes home, and in school they don't see it. And now they see it because I took him off this toxic pill that they say it's, they have to do it. Susan is a
I'm
friend of
sorry.
mine.
As you were talking, I'm listening to you, but I also noticed we have 60 comments, and I have to go through all of them before we get off.
Yes, Susan is a friend of mine. So, and I do believe there's a lot of friends that they came today. So I love you all. I don't know. We didn't see the comments yet, but I do love them all.
I'll go through them all before we get off.
Yes, I love them all before. So I'm a great believer in Eastern medicine, Ronnie. I can't tell you how happy I am with seeing my son blooming without the
That's it.
medication.
I want to validate you real quick. A personal share. Like I
Yeah.
don't have ASD, but I do have, as you know, like chronic depression. I dealt with
Yes.
really traumatic stuff as a child, and I've been on medication since I was in middle school.
Yeah.
And like 5 months ago, I finally was like, I met with a new psychiatrist. He said, I don't even know where to start with you because we don't know what your normal is. You haven't been off medication for so long that we don't know what your baseline is. Why don't we just stop doing that? And then we'll add things in if we absolutely have to. It's been 5 months. I don't need medication. I've been off. I have felt better. And
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. They wanted to put me on medication for lupus, and I refused. They don't have a medication for lupus. They just have I'm practically gonna be a guinea pig. No, thank you.
No. Yeah.
No.
Well, and that's
Zumba is my medication.
I want to say one caveat though. Medication isn't always bad. Like there are people out there that need it.
It's not.
And
I agree.
if you really need it, take it, of course.
Yes, I agree.
But
I mean, I'm like my kids have their shots. I'm up to date with all my shots, their shots and stuff like that. No, I do believe in medicine. But
right.
not every single medicine work.
You don't,
No.
yeah, you don't need medicine for everything. Sometimes you're experiencing human stuff and you need to deal with it like a human being, or maybe a lot
Yeah.
of the times, like you just identified, like through not just Eastern medicine, but I love that you brought up vitamins. Taking
Yes.
vitamins and natural supplements can help
It
balance out
can.
your chemistry and make you feel better. And a lot of the times you'll find that that is probably the source of some of your issues. And so
Yes.
that's really, really, really good advice.
Yeah.
I love that. Meditation wise, do you do any meditating?
I don't. I don't
Hmm.
have time. And meditation makes me cry.
Ah,
That's why I don't do meditation, because I'm that stressed out that when I sit and meditate, I lose it. So I cry. So I don't meditate. I put it away. I should, but no. Because
it's
my
okay.
life is so always on the roll. I never stop. So my day start at 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe before, and it goes to like 12, maybe 1 after midnight, something like that.
Well,
It's
the beauty of it
going.
is that like meditation itself is, and hardcore purist of meditation would disagree with me here, but whatever. It's really just about finding a way to calm your mind and recalibrate and simplify things, continue to be who you want to be. You've got meditation in your life already. You do it through Zumba. Like the way you talked
Yes.
about it there, that is your meditation. It's your therapy. And Dave Kluge was on. He was like, my therapy, I go hike mountains.
That's
uh,
amazing. Good
some
for him.
people unwind and kind of meditate by zoning out and play video games at night. I've tried that
Yeah.
before. It doesn't really unwind me. I get wound up. But meditation, it really, if we rephrase that, is finding, you said it earlier in the episode, like finding your happy place where
Yes.
you can disconnect and look at yourself, focus on yourself, and then re-enter society again is really important. And if everyone was able to figure out a way to spend 30 to 45 minutes a day with an activity that offered them that, I think we as a society would just be a lot happier. So
Yeah.
I love all of this. I want to keep going. One last thing though, and then I know I told you before we got on, I was like, it never happens. Yeah, I'm yet to go through an interview where we felt like we were ready to be done when we were done, but we have to mind the audience and cut this thing off here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Last question for you. With everything that you have been through and the unique perspective you have for not just for women, but for immigrants and for people that are entering a different environment than they grew up in. Um, I think the fantasy football industry and fantasy sports industry, oftentimes when you get started, is not the same as moving to the US from Lebanon in the middle of a war and all that stuff. I'm not saying that. But just the idea of putting yourself in something completely different and then having to force yourself to acclimate and become in tune with everything new that's going on is difficult. Do you have, if I simplify this question, my last question for you would be like, what advice would you give somebody who's about to embark on something new and difficult?
Well, everything new is always scary,
Hmm.
but don't be scared to put yourself out there, because you never know where you're gonna be. The first time I went to the expo, it was with Doug. I didn't know anything about fantasy football, like literally nothing. I went there, I was so happy, and I'm like, I want to go again. He's like, seriously? I'm like, yes. And I went again to the expo and I met all these beautiful ladies at the expo. And I fell in love with, how much the community can be positive. I know that it can be negative, but there's a lot of positivity as well. So Doug Orth made me fall in love a lot with that, because Doug Orth is a very positive person too. So he made me fall in love with fantasy football ahead of time, and he put me into this. That's why I wanted to experience that love that he like put into me, if it makes sense. So I wasn't afraid to go into it. And when Greg Kellogg asked me to be in for the pod, I'm like, yeah, like it's
Yeah.
fine. You know what I mean? So I put myself out there because I already love from Doug how he was talking about it, because he's always talking positively about it. So I wanted to experience it because of him. So, and
I love that.
I met JC, I met Iggy, I met Evan and Wendy, and we became a family. And what these, like Iggy, JC, and Evan, what these people are doing for the community is like something big. Because of what they went through, they're doing something different, completely different. And they're trying to make a family, not just a community. They're trying to make a family, to build a family, because they wanted that experience to be totally different.
Yeah.
Like, we want you to be here. We want you to feel like, I was talking to JC the like last time. He said, I don't want you to feel like I'm your boss. I want you to feel like you're my friend.
That's how I feel all the time with JC. I'm just kidding.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how important it is to them that they are building that into us. So we feel so like at ease. And what I want to tell women, don't be afraid. I came from a country that suppressed women a lot. Don't talk, don't walk this way, don't wear this, don't do that. So no, like I was put in chains, and my kids told me break those chains at some point. And no, mom, you're smart enough, you are good enough, you are who you are, you exist, put yourself out there. And they were the one that they were clapping for me at the beginning, to be here, to be the person I am today. And I am thankful for my kids and Doug and my friends, because they build me up. They literally build me up.
You've got your core around you. Going back to the first episode of the Judgment Seesaw starting off this month, Nick Whalen came on and pretty much hammered home the point that in the end, to live a happy life and to be happy between the years, it all kind of starts with who your support group is, the friends and family that you close. And so
100%.
All right, let's go through some comments real quick, and then we're getting out of here.
All right, I love you too.
Hey, Susan, I love you too.
She's a Zumba instructor too.
Oh, she is? Heck yeah. So this is the legendary Greg Kellogg. I want everyone to know your story earlier about him was hilarious, because I was picturing Greg at the expo. Greg, I love you to death. I'm going to tease you just for a second, though. Greg, if you saw him in a crowd of people, he is like the most unassuming human being you would run into. So when you were like, you didn't know that he was a Hall of Famer, this and that, the same thing happened to me last year. I talked to Greg twice at the expo before I realized who he was. And so Greg's an absolute gem.
Such a down-to-earth person, Ronnie.
This is actually my mom. Yoga therapy is her lifeline. Shout out to mom and to all the moms out
there. Shout out to mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. Let's see. Going up. I don't know what she was talking about.
Wendy.
I'm assuming it is awesome. But let's assume she was talking about you and how awesome you are. This is Wendy, who is Carla's co-host on the Game Changers over at the Sports Affiliate.
My sister, so I love her so much.
I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning and go down on these. JC mentioned 500 times in this episode. One of my favorite people and friends in the industry as well. Every episode, Toronto Dave is hanging around. Pete Sandoval. Do you know this person?
Noor Abdallah. She's my cousin from Lebanon. So you had people from Lebanon.
Oh, we got international. What up, Noor?
Yes.
Incredible.
She's my cousin. She's my aunt's daughter. She's my aunt daughter. Noor. Proud of you. Oh.
I
love them
then
to
this is another.
Nisha is my cousin.
Yes.
He's Noor's brother.
Now, Doug lied and said that he hadn't heard anything you had talked about yet. Doug,
Oh,
I
okay.
love you. You goofball.
I'll meet him
Uh,
later.
This is JC. I know he was commenting on you, the Game Changers. Really, truly, like you guys have. I've been keeping a track of y'all's numbers over the months, and like you guys
Yeah.
are doing really well right now. And I'm really proud of you and Wendy.
It's a team effort. We all put together a great show, and it's a team effort. We have each other's back, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Well, and I think that I want to echo what Susan's saying too. If you just joined, go back to the beginning and listen to Carla's story. It's incredible. She's been through a lot, more than me and more than most people. And yet she's sitting here across from me, this like bubbling just embodiment of radiance and happiness. And so shout out to you, Carla. I mean, seriously, amazing human being. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not that great.
You're excellent. Stop it.
Echoing what Doug said, goodness and selflessness in your heart. And then Susan also said, you're stubborn. I believe that. You wouldn't have persevered through all of this if you weren't stubborn. And
Listen, I would be having vertigo and I was be teaching Zumba.
yeah, you tried to cook for Thanksgiving with a broken arm and then tried to go back to work when you were on drugs about to get surgery. Like, you're very stubborn and in a good way.
I am.
Again, my mom, Carla.
Oh, thank you. I love your mom. Thank you.
I love her too. Carla makes our lives better. Keep going through. Always finds her way out of a mess.
I know he's lying, but yeah.
I don't know. Everyone keeps saying the same thing. There's Wendy. It's the same Wendy. She tries. A lot of people commenting on just the story and how tough it was. Let's leave on this one. Model of resilience. So, any other thoughts before I hang this up? I haven't ended the show like this where I just go through comments. So, any final thoughts?
Who's Guagua? Oh, this is maybe my aunt.
Oh,
Galgal.
Family's here.
That's my aunt. I love you too. That's my aunt. It's around 1:00 after midnight right now. And then watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
7 hours.
Well, hey, thank you for watching. For everyone like across the pond. Seriously, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and selfishly just to talk about this channel for Carla. I would step away from Carla for a second. For everyone that is watching, if you don't mind, like do a little subscribing action to the channel. This is my preliminary launch to Good Guy AI and fantasy football content next month, which is the source of a lot of my anxiety over the last year, has actually been trying to navigate how to talk about artificial intelligence with my peers, and I'm excited to do it. And so let's see.
People from Lebanon. You have international people. You're international right now. Look at you, Ronnie.
All right. I'll do Zumba at the expo. That's fine.
You have to. Listen, it's not for female only. It's for everyone.
What, are you going to be getting me up at like 7 in the morning to do this?
No, it's for afternoon. I'm really good. Yes. Yes. See? I love it.
All right. Let's just go all the way. Yeah, she said hero, my niece, inherently awesome. Greg's commenting. I'm not going to blah, 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 blah. Let me do one more shout out. I put this on earlier. The sports affiliate.
Yes.
I linked it in the show notes. If you go scroll into the show notes, you can go find her show with Wendy Early. Also subscribe to the sports affiliation. I have been a member of their family for the last year as well, and I really do enjoy them in the community. I appreciate all you guys. And until tomorrow, I'm having Michael Sicoli on tomorrow at 9:00 for Mother's Day. Between now and then, if your mom is around, hit her up and tell her you love her tomorrow. Do not forget. Thank you for coming on, Carla. I love you. This has been a good discussion.
I love you too. By the way, Mother's Day in Lebanon is March 21st. So they already had Mother's Day.
Oh, hey,
Mother's Day in America is different.
Lebanon that's watching this right now, why don't you just celebrate it twice and treat tomorrow like it's another one? All right. Appreciate everyone. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good night.
What's going on? between my ears. Everyone seems to be so clear, but I'm feeling foggy. This life I'm a part of. Let's talk about